EAGLES, Eagles.
Welcome in, everybody. Good morning, Eagles fans. Training camp day 2 getting underway, and just shortly here, 9:40, the first press conference will be Vic Fangio. Will speak this morning. I want to welcome everybody in this morning. Feeling good, everybody. Waking up with a chip on the shoulder as training camp is here. I thought we had a great day 1 yesterday here on JAKIB Sports. I thought the viewers were incredible yesterday. The content was incredible. The things coming out of NovaCare were pretty dang awesome. Our highest view day in a very long time. So great stuff yesterday on day 1. We'll do a little bit of recapping of day 1. I'm not sure if I'm going to get Johnny Mack in this morning, trying to talk to him for at least 10, 15 minutes before the practice. So I will keep you posted if we're able to get him in. But if not, no worries. We will do it live together, probably up until about 9:15. Depending on the flow of the conversation. I want to welcome everybody in the chat this morning. Let me check who's over here. Tyler Braswell's in here. Twiz the Jig is in here. Jeff Martin's in here. Eduardo, my man Eduardo's in here. CZ, VJ, that dude, Chucky, Stratus. Everybody, we appreciate you guys being here. Pin 9617, Reggie Washington. Thank you guys for being here. I'm going to take a lot of your guys' questions this morning. So anybody you want to talk about, anything you want to talk about at training camp, definitely hit me with that in the chat, and we will discuss that. Just to give you an order of an update today, 9:40, Vic Fangio is set to speak. So Eagles defensive coordinator Vic Fangio will speak at 9:40. Then the Eagles are back on the practice field, scheduled for 10 a.m. So we'll see how that looks for the team this morning. Obviously, a lot came out from yesterday's practice. A lot of good stuff, by the way. We talked about it all day long on the channel. Very good stuff coming out of yesterday's practice. The big surprising things to me were Jalix Hunt looking good. Maybe he's not as much of a project player as we're thinking. Johnny Mack said Saquon Barkley looked explosive yesterday. Jalen Hurts was on time and on target all day yesterday. Now, I know these are just practices. They are not the end-all, be-all, but it's good to hear that, especially when you come off the OTAs and, you know, where they were in the OTAs was the offense wasn't in a great spot. They were struggling a little bit, and the defense was getting the better of them. So to see that, to hear that Jalen Hurts was having a good practice is good stuff there. And hopefully the offense clicks on all cylinders as we get more and more deeper into camp here. So we'll see what else comes up today. Same schedule today, everybody. So we'll be live this morning. Just to give you guys an update, we'll be live this morning. I'll probably consume as much of the practice as I can. I'll read what people are talking about. I'll get an update from Johnny Mack on the videos, and then I will go live again probably around noon, and then we'll have the National Football Show with Dan Cilio from 2 to 6 p.m. Eastern, and then Birds 365 tonight from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern, again, another special edition, and then we will probably return to our regularly scheduled programming tomorrow morning with Birds 365. So they're not, I think tomorrow is a walkthrough day, so nobody's going down there to NovaCare. So Johnny Mack should be good for the morning. So good stuff there. Again, thank you all for being here this morning. Any good questions from you guys, I will take them in the chat gladly. Let's quickly run down what we heard from yesterday. We'll start with the offense. As I mentioned, Jalen Hurts, sharp as a tack yesterday, 15 to 16, and the one drop or the one incompletion was a drop pass. So apparently he had a very nice throw to Dallas Goedert for a 35-yard touchdown. He was Gary Cobb, by all means, was he tweeted out that by all means Jalen Hurts was on time and on target, crisp with the football, getting the ball out 1, 2, 3. So it's good to hear. Hopefully Kellen Moore and Jalen start to develop the system they're going to run this year, and Hurts can get comfortable in that offense. I mean, guys, there is no shortage of playmakers on this team. And when I hear that they're running motion and I hear that Jalen Hurts is getting that ball out quick, I get excited for what the possibility of what the offense can look like. I don't want to overreact. I don't want to say it's going to be that great before we see and hear more, and before, especially until we see them on the game field. But you know, when you hear some of these things, and then you know, I would encourage every Eagle fan to go and look at some of Kellen Moore's tape with not just the Chargers last year, but with even in Dallas. I know we hate Dallas, but go back and look at some of his tape in Dallas. If we can get this to work, we have so many playmakers. We are going to be an unbelievable offense. So it'll be interesting to see. Hopefully Jalen settles in, like I said, continues to get better. Saquon Barkley, let's go to Saquon Barkley. He looked great yesterday by all means. Johnny Mack said he looked explosive. Definitely looked like he had an extra pep in the step compared to OTAs, which, wasn't impressive for anyone on offense, but Saquon did not stand out there. So great to hear that Saquon Barkley, looked great yesterday. He obviously looks like he's been in the weight room. The guy is shredded to the nines. So good to see that. And then the one position on offense that everybody's been wondering is the wide receiver 3. You heard Howie Roseman and Nick Sirianni kind of talk about it in the beginning of the day yesterday. And they were like, we feel good about who we have here, but we're going to be watching that position. And Johnny Mack said Paris Campbell looked awesome yesterday. Jalen Hurts was consistently going to him. And it's good to hear that Paris Campbell stepped up and was getting a lot of targets. Johnny Mack said he was running, and he used the word vicious comeback routes that were tough to guard. So, look, if Paris Campbell can be anything of a contributor, that's a win. You got AJ and Devontae. I don't need you to be a Hall of Fame wide receiver, but we need some help with that wide receiver 3. We need an option, right? We need somebody that the defense is going to have to think about. And if Paris Campbell can be that guy, that'll be a great news. But the other thing that made me excited was if Paris Campbell isn't the guy, it certainly seemed like Howie did not rule out going out and getting another receiver. He was like, look, we feel good about the guys we have, but we're going to be watching that position very closely. AKA, if Paris isn't playing good enough, I'm going to go and pick up a guy on the open market. So we'll see how that plays out. Joho checking in. Good morning, Joho. Appreciate you being here, brother. He says, if Campbell goes down, who is wide receiver 4? I don't know that. I would imagine it would be John Ross, Joho. I think it would be John Ross. There's some other guys out there. You didn't hear anything. A couple other questions. You didn't hear much about Johnny Wilson. Jeff Barton checking in. Good morning, Jeff. What's up, brother? He says, how's Johnny Wilson looking? Didn't hear anything about him yesterday. I'm not sure if he wasn't. It's not that he wasn't out there, but just didn't hear anything about him. Running with the backup teams, obviously. And you didn't hear much about Anais Smith other than one manufactured play that John mentioned. But so we'll see. I mean, I admittedly am not super high on John Ross, just hasn't done a lot, and he's gotten a lot of opportunities in the league, drafted as a first-round pick. So I don't think John Ross has it, but maybe he would in this offense with more talent around him. But we'll see. So I'd like to say wide receiver 4 would probably be one of the draft picks, Anais Smith or Johnny Wilson. I like that Johnny Wilson guy. I mean, we haven't seen anything from him. He might stink out loud. We don't know. He might be great. We don't know yet. But I love the size. I love how he plays. If you go and watch his tape, you would think at 6'6", 6'7", he is clunky. He's really not. He's very smooth. He plays the game like a wide receiver, which is great to see when you have that type of size. I just think a big target like that would be awesome for Jalen Hurts to have. I mean, you're talking about a guy 6'7" running across the middle. Oh, how can we get Jalen to use the middle of the field? Give him a 6'7" target, that he can throw the football to, that he can see over that towering offensive line. I like the idea of Johnny Wilson. We'll see if he's able to do anything, with his NFL career. Hopefully, Kenny was a 6th-round draft pick this past year for the Eagles, or just this year with the Eagles. So we'll see what he's able to do. And then Anais Smith is the other draft pick. We'll see what he's able to do as well. I would imagine he would probably be your wide receiver 4, with the way the depth chart's breaking. Looks like I'm going to get John McMullen here, everybody. Let's go to John real quick. He's in the car, so bear with us on any tech difficulties. We appreciate John joining in with us this morning. Let's go to Johnny Mack. Johnny Mack, you out there, brother?
Yeah, you got me?
I got you. Sound good. Thanks for doing it, John. We'll get right into it, and I won't keep you too long. I know you're probably dealing with the early traffic out there, getting your way down to NovaCare. Just run us through the preview of today, John. What's the schedule look like? Who's about to speak at 9:40? And what's the expectation going into day 2 compared to day 1? Did we lose John? Yeah, we lost John, so we'll try and get him back up. His internet might be spotty, guys. It was good there for a second, but he's traveling, so hopefully we can get John just for a quick 10, 15-minute update when I'll bring him back in when he rejoins. Obviously cut out there a little bit. So hopefully we can get him on the show. Appreciate everybody being here. A lot of viewers in the chat this morning. We appreciate you guys no matter what. You guys show up, and that's great of you. So make sure you guys drop a like on the show. If we don't get John, we'll continue to run through it. We'll continue to talk offense. We'll talk defense. We'll even talk a little bit of the guys that stood out that you don't expect to stand out. Jalen Hurts apparently was looking good yesterday. And when you draft a guy and the Eagles say up front, this is a project player, third round was a little early for a project, right? But you hear he gets out there and he looks good and he's starting to play aggressively. Like John said yesterday, maybe, just maybe, he has what it takes to come in and contribute, very quickly. So we'll see how that works. That would be great for me. Decoy Gaming says podcast and driving. Let's go to Johnny Mac again here. We lost him. 1 second. Let me see if I can get him up. John, you don't need to turn your video off, John. I'll cover your camera up no matter what. I'm not sure if John can hear me. His device is just disconnected, but let's continue to move through it. We talked wide receivers, so we'll see. Paris Campbell, as I mentioned, played pretty good yesterday. Not a lot of talk about AJ or Devontae, but I don't think there's anything to worry about with AJ and Devontae Smith. Right guard battle, we'll go to that. Tyler Steen got all the reps yesterday. So the Eagles are really going to want Tyler Steen to win that job. Now, the interesting caveat is probably the one player who could contest Tyler Steen would be Mekhi Becton, and he wasn't able to yesterday because Landon was out. So he was playing left guard yesterday. So we'll see if there's any sort of competition pending at right guard with Tyler Steen. Let's go back to John McMullen now, see if we can get Johnny Mac. Johnny Mac, you out there?
Yeah, hopefully. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll keep it brief, John. I know you're disconnecting. Sorry to bug you here. Just run us through the update of today. I know you have Vic Fangio set to speak in a little bit. What's the expectation here going into day 2?
Well, I think it's a good day. I think, for the defense and to talk to Vic, because I don't think they were particularly impressive on day 1. Again, it's day 1, but there's that whole mentality, and we talked about it all throughout the spring, that typically in the NFL, defense is ahead of offense early. That was certainly the case in the spring. It was not the case yesterday. And it tends to be a back and forth, and that's usually how training camp goes. And, guys understand maybe they didn't have the best day, and they come out with a little bit more pep in their steps. So I hopefully want to see something a little bit more from the defense today as far as making plays. They weren't terrible, but they were just, if you look back at the spring, there were plays every day. They were making plays and interceptions and PBUs and swarming the field, and you didn't see that on day 1 of camp.
John, when you think about talking to Vic Fangio, what's one thing you want to hear from Vic this morning? I know he's probably a guy that's been around the block enough. He's going to keep things close to the vest, but what's your question coming into Vic Fangio that you're looking to hear from him, whether it's depth or defensive scheme? Where are you going with Vic this morning?
Well, I know his scheme. I don't have to worry too much about that. He's been around for a while, and he's always evolving. That's part of what's good about Vic. So he'll tweak things, but basic scheme you should understand by this point. The Eagles, this will be the 4th year the Eagles have been playing this type of scheme. The only difference is the guy who created it is going to be running it. So maybe it's taught a little bit better. Maybe it's understood a little bit better. Maybe it's easier to evolve in the moments a little bit more with Vic Fangio. Plus, he has this sterling reputation of being a game day play caller from a defensive perspective, in that he tends to understand what to dial up in certain situations. So we'll see how that shakes out down the line. But Quinyon Mitchell, we talked about yesterday. I think it's very interesting how much they're throwing at him early. So I do want to hear about that. Bryce Huff, because I've been high on him. I want to get a feel and it's probably going to be too early, but and Vic will probably say we got to get the pads on. But I don't get a sense there's a worry that he's going to be unable to play the level of plays that he's expected to be out there for, the percentage of plays he's expected to be out there for. The question is he going to be effective in the other stuff? I know he can rush the passer.
Right.
Is he going to be effective enough in run support when he's asked to be a flat defender? Yeah, that kind of thing. So, and being the flat defender, dropping in coverage is probably going to be a little bit more important than it was under Jonathan Gannon and Sean Desai, because Vic is more comfortable doing that.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what Vic Fangio has to say. Johnny Mac, anybody else scheduled to speak this morning? I know you'll get a couple players after practice. You might not know who they are, but any other expectation on who you're going to talk to today?
No, we'll get to know during practice. We generally get the heads up on who's scheduled or at least expected to talk after practice. Yesterday was obviously Jalen Hurts and basically the team captains, everybody that was available, along with Saquon Barkley, because there was so much hype about his first practice. Those were the guys. Today, you think about the veteran players that didn't speak yesterday. Number one in my mind would be Dallas Goedert is probably going to speak today. And there'll be a host of others, but we'll get a better indication of that during practice.
Good stuff there. We'll see what we're able to learn from the players today, John. Anything you're looking for on offense, on defense, real quick before I let you get out of here? We saw some good things yesterday. I thought the Jalen Hunt report was interesting, just that he was showing more signs of being more than a developmental player. Any player you're focused on today on either offense or defense?
Yeah, I'm already ruined the day I brought up Jared Allen. I don't want to create this expectation.
I won't go back down that road, John. I'll forget you even said it.
But I was just trying to give an example of a player that you're expecting to be a red shirt right away, and he was just so good you had to get him on the field. It does happen occasionally, and who knows with Jalen Hunt. But early indications were pretty impressive. Like at some point, I expect him to try to mix him in with some first team reps. And boy, when you're a young edge rusher and you got to deal with Jordan Mailata or Lane Johnson with pads, that's a tall task. So, I'm hesitant to bring that up. I probably shouldn't have, but. And then Grant Calcaterra is something I probably didn't mention enough on the show yesterday. He might be the number 2 tight end. A lot of people are saying, is he going to be the number 3? And he hasn't shown much. But he is going to be on this team, and it's more. He's closer to surpassing, and he may have already surpassed. He got more first team reps than Uzama yesterday, so he may have already surpassed him. And that's interesting as well. The coaching staff loves him. It hasn't been proven on the field yet, but, Kellen Moore has a history of using tight ends probably a little bit better than the Eagles have recently, so maybe that is a spark for Grant as well. Plus, he's got a new mustache, so he's feeling confident. And that's a player to keep an eye on.
Yeah, interesting, Grant Calcaterra. We haven't seen much from him in his couple years here, but, everybody was expecting CJ Uzomah to kind of take that role, Johnny Mac. Has he looked okay out there, or is it more of a case of Grant looking better?
Yeah, he's looked okay. He's 31. He's coming off an injury. He's got a lot of tread off the tire. Plus, he's new. And Grant's been here. So the Eagles kind of usually default to the guys who've been here at least early in camp. And I'm not saying CJ can't get back into that second spot for a number of reasons. One, I think it's a better fit because it allows you, if CJ's out there, it allows you to use him as the inline tight end while Dallas Goedert is the flex tight end. And I think that's an important part of it. Whereas if Grant is in the game with Dallas Goedert, Dallas is probably going to be the inline guy, and that can work because he's a really good blocker, but it limits his availability as a receiver, and you probably don't want that.
Right, makes sense. John, you got me excited yesterday talking about Saquon Barkley and looking explosive. I'm excited to see what the Eagles' new shiny toy on offense is able to do. Will we see any more today on Saquon and the offense? Hopefully, Jalen Hurts is another sharp day. But anything else on the offense you're looking at today?
Yeah, I mean, consistency. You want to see him put together good practices day after day after day, and they didn't do that in the spring, and they were able to do it. So that's positive. But can they do it back-to-back days? And that's what it's about, and getting better. And then but if they do, then you start worrying about the defense and say, well, what's going on there? So that's what happens when you practice against each other. But yeah, it was a positive day for the offense. There weren't really any positive days for the offense in spring work. So, to see them take that step, and Saquon's a big part of that because they weren't able to get him involved with pajamas and such. And now they were able to get him involved, and the pads aren't on yet. In theory, he's the kind of guy who's going to show up more with pads because of his size and strength and speed. So we'll see how that shakes out. But I was impressed. And again, it's the Eagles practicing against the Eagles. You don't know how opposing defensive coordinators are going to look at the Eagles offense because there are so many playmakers, and you're generally going to try to take somebody out of the game. And I don't think it's going to be Saquon Barkley for the most part. So that gives him an opportunity to create these matchups and get other people more space. And that's the kind of impact I think the Eagles are looking for. So while I think so many people are focused on numbers, I think the Eagles are focused on impact. And I think he was able to show at least a little bit of that potential impact early on in training camp.
Johnny Mac, one more question before I let you get out of here. Let's go defensive side of the ball. Give me one player you think will stand out today, or one player you have your eyes on. I know you mentioned Bryce Huff. I'm looking more along that defensive line as well, but who's one player, whether it's cornerback, linebacker, who's one player that showed something yesterday that you got your eye on today?
Well, I think Quinyon showed a lot in his versatility and his ability to handle all three different positions in one practice. At the cornerback position, he got reps at all three. And he was the most impressive of the young cornerbacks. Now, he didn't get as many first-team reps, so maybe that's part of it, playing against second-team players. So you have to factor that in as well. But all things look good for the first-round pick. And then the linebacker situation, a little more rotation than I expected early. And I think that's going to continue as we go through camp. And I've warned everybody from the start, don't shut the book on Nakobe Dean yet. If the GM didn't make that clear for you yesterday, you might want to re-listen to him. Don't shut the door on Nakobe Dean.
Yeah, he did. But I did think it was interesting that the first team was out. I know Nakobe got rotated in pretty quick, but it was Zach Bond and Devin White. The team continues to show they like Zach Bond, John. It's interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting from the fact that he came here without a concrete position, and most people, stemming from what Howie said, assumed he would be more of an edge player. And then Vic Fangio got a look at him and said, I think he's an all-ball linebacker. I think ultimately he's going to be a hybrid player. I think he's going to be both when you get down to the 53. And we always go to Andrew Van Ginkel, who played that role for Vic in Miami and had a great season doing it. And ironically, Bond and Van Ginkel were college teammates for a short while at Wisconsin. So a lot of similarities there. Now, I think it's pie in the sky to assume he's going to have the impact that Andrew had with the Dolphins last year, but I think that's going to be his role. And I think Nakobe's going to be a starting linebacker. The only question is, which one?
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. John, thanks for joining the show, man. We appreciate you doing it from the car. Travel safely down there, and we'll talk to you tonight on Birds 365. All right, brother?
All right, thanks, Andrew.
There's Johnny Mack joining us from the car. Appreciate John McMullen doing that. Great stuff there from Johnny Mack, who's our Eagles reporter, who's going down to NovaCare today, who will watch day 2 of practice live and in person at NovaCare. I'd love to see it. I'd love to be down there for a day, but the Eagles are tight with those credentials, everybody. They do not want to give out any more credentials. So I'd love to get down there, though. We appreciate John doing that. Some interesting stuff there on what he's looking at on the defense. I always like to talk to John and kind of give him an open platform because I like to see where his head's at. Like I can lead him down, hey, talk to me about, XYZ player, but I like opening it up to him, and then he kind of shows you where his mind is, and you can see he's thinking about Quinyon Mitchell, which is the right guy to think about, the first-round draft pick. He's thinking about what Vic Fangio is doing at that linebacker position. And he's thinking about Bryce Huff on defense. And then on offense, thought it was interesting. He brought up that tight end too. I was always curious how Grant Calcaterra got pushed so quickly, a guy they drafted after they brought in CJ Uzomah, who's really 31. That's pretty old. So it'll be interesting to see how they do it. We appreciate John joining, no doubt about it. We're about 30 minutes into the show, guys. I'm probably going to go until, 9:15, maybe a little longer, depending on how long you guys want to chat it up with me. I appreciate all the chats. We got some good people in here this morning. Madness is in here. What's up, Madness? Crawley, my man Crawley's in here. Hi, Dominion. What's up, buddy? Appreciate you being here. Chase Daniels, Slagger, 57. James Carver, as always. Twiz the Jigga. All my boys in here. James Jones, Andrew G. Yale Roth. What's up? Yeah, I didn't even see you in there, buddy. All sorts of good viewers, so we appreciate all you guys being here. Make sure you guys smash that like this morning. Andrew Hernandez, what's up, brother? Make sure you guys smash that like. Stay tuned. I got some business to do on the air. As you know, I do a lot of the back-end production. So I'm going to take a quick 3-minute timeout. I'm going to hammer out some of this back-end production real quick, and I'll be back in 3 minutes, and we'll continue to break down what we saw in day 1 and what to expect here in day 2. Vic Fangio is set to speak in about an hour and 5 minutes, so we will keep you posted on all that stuff as well. Stay tuned, everybody. I'll be right back. Appreciate you being here. Make sure you guys hit that like button. We'll be right back.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.
Is the best vacation one that you find, or one you get lost in? One that takes you to new heights, or reminds you to go with the flow? To get your feet wet and your wheels spinning? One that lets you find your own rhythm, or get carried away? Find the best of yourself. Get lost in the woods. Plan your stay in the Wildwoods today.
Win and save this baseball season from Colony Pools and Power Washing, a local company serving Delaware, Delco, and Chester County since 1970. Are you tired of looking at your greenhouse? Is your roof, siding, deck stained green from algae and mold? Let the experts pressure wash your home and take the pressure off of you. Win with Colony Pools and Power Washing. Call them now at 302-762-2250. That's 302-762-2250.
Go passionately. Go fearlessly. Go confidently.
Go Birds!
Go confidently towards your goals with First Trust, Philly's hometown bank for nearly 90 years, and the official bank of the Philadelphia Eagles. We're focused on getting you over the goal line. So go with conviction. Go with trust.
Go Birds!
And go forward with us by your side. First Trust Bank, the official bank of Philadelphia Dreams. up, and go Birds.
The greatest fans on earth. It's a bold statement, but would you expect anything less from Philadelphia? 58 years of heartache creates a toughness, a grit, a resolve not found in most. Sure, our prayers were answered, but now that we've had a taste, we're looking for more. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles. EAGLES, Eagles.
Welcome back in, everybody, to a special edition of Football 24/7. We're live here. Just Xander Krause with you this morning. We just had John McMullen in the car. We appreciate John McMullen doing that. I know it's tough to drive and turn your blinkers off, as you guys are pointing out in the chat, and talk to us about football while he drives down there and navigates the morning traffic going through the city. So we appreciate John McMullen being here. We appreciate everybody in the chat being here. A lot of exciting times, everybody. I mean, football is back. One, that is a very exciting thing. Maybe not for you, but it certainly is for me. Football is my sport that I like to watch. It's always been the sport that I like to watch the most. So I'm very excited for sure to get football back, to have something to talk about with this Philadelphia Eagles team. And it was all good yesterday. Everything sounded good. Even Silio, even our man Big Sills was like, hey, good day for the Philadelphia Eagles. Not a lot of negative to talk about. I thought they quieted the rumors of the offseason pretty good. Did that very early. And I thought it was a good day all around yesterday. It's just exciting to hear about some of the guys who stepped up and looked good. Most importantly, Jalen Hurts, who was apparently very sharp. I thought, by the way, I said this to Sills yesterday, and I'd be curious to hear what some of you guys think in the chat. I'm not sure if you listened to Jalen yesterday at his press conference, but calm, cool, collected, confident. Confident is the main word I would use. Confident. A confident Jalen Hurts at the podium yesterday. I was very excited to hear that. It just felt like listening to him, this guy's got this again. Like and not that he didn't have it, but when I went back and listened to his press conferences late last year and even at OTAs, I just thought Jalen sounded back to his self. And I thought he sounded back to that guy that knows, I'm in control of how far we can go. I'm in control. Let me handle it. I got this. And that's what you want to hear from your leader. You want to feel like your leader's got this. And I felt that from Jalen Hurts, and I thought that was a good thing. A good thing from him yesterday. So excited to hear how he continues to progress this offseason. It's a new offense for him. Not completely new, but Kellen Moore's here. So it is a lot for him to learn, and I'm excited to see what he's able to do this year. I've continued to say I think Kellen Moore could be a tremendous pairing with Jalen Hurts. He really could. When you look at the talent on the team, you look at the way Kellen Moore has coached in the past and the way he works different guys into the offense, you know, if you add in Jalen Hurts' skill set, and hopefully Kellen Moore can adapt to that quickly. Boy, I think the sky's the limit for this offense. Hopefully they can continue to ascend, continue to get better, and that's what I think they're going to do. So you just heard John McMullen waiting to talk to Vic Fangio in about an hour from now. So we'll probably bust out of here at like 9:15, everybody. 9:15, so about 35 minutes still. I'll be live. Then I have a couple videos, couple premieres going live on the channel. So if you're looking for more content, stay tuned right on the channel. There'll be more videos going live. And then I'll come back live probably around noon just because, you know, they do the practice at 10. You get all the videos, the footage, the commentary. John normally texts me an update of what he saw, so I'll get his input. I'll get some of his video, and then I'll go live quickly like I did yesterday for kind of a midday recap on what we learned and what we saw in day two, or at least what John and the rest of the reporters saw in day two. So exciting stuff there. I'm going to go to my chat, make sure everybody's good over here in my chat. I see Eduardo, man. Eduardo, you're going to pick on me all week. Come on, Eduardo. CZ's in here. Slager's in here. Slager says, I get that dang Wildwood song in my head for hours. Slager, you think that thing is stuck in your head? I can recite that song backwards to you. I know that song so well, but I do love it. Wow, 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 what days. It's a great little tune, great little jingle they have on that ad. So appreciate you guys being here. Here's a super chat from my man, James Carver. We appreciate that. Is that you yelling the first Go Birds in the First Trust Bank ad? James, no, it is not. I wish it was me. That would be dope if I got a chance to say that in the First Trust Bank, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles, a sponsor here of JAKIB Sports. We appreciate First Trust Bank, but no, that is not me. That is not me, James Carver. I wish it was. Like I said, I would give them a little Go Birds if they needed it for their ad, but no, that was not me. So appreciate you being here. Appreciate that super chat very much, brother. Let's see, guys. Let's continue. We were running through the defense before we got John on, we were on offense. Let's go back to the offense, and then I'll get into the defense. We'll talk Quinyon Mitchell, Jalix Hunt, a couple of the Bryce Huff. We didn't see too much, didn't hear too much from the offense yesterday. I thought it was interesting how they used Zach Bond, but we'll get into that in a little bit. We were running through the offense when Johnny Mack joined, and we were talking right guard. So it seems like Tyler Steen is the guy they want at right guard. He got all the reps yesterday. Now, what's interesting is probably the best competition for him would be Mekhi Becton. And because of Landon Dickerson's toe laceration, he wasn't practicing yesterday. So Mekhi Becton was playing left guard. So maybe when Landon's back and Mekhi isn't playing left, maybe they'll rotate him in at right. I think we could hear more about that. Obviously, they just had Tyler Steen out there. Full transparency, I'm a little concerned about Tyler Steen. I don't know about him. I mean, we saw him in one game versus the Cowboys. He was pretty bad. So hopefully he can play guard. He was drafted. He was a tackle all in through college. So, some people are able to switch in there easy. Some people struggle with that change. So hopefully, Tyler Steen can be that guy. Now he is in the hands of Jeff Stoutland, which I think is a positive thing. But we'll see what they end up doing at right guard position. As I mentioned, Landon was out yesterday, so you had Mekhi Becton playing left guard, which I think is great to hear. I mean, Becton was drafted as a first-round pick. He's been a tackle his entire life, never played any guard. And when Landon goes down, now this is the second time because it happened in OTAs as well, they go to him for that guard position, which I think is just a great thing. Think about this. How big is Mekhi Becton? Let me run through this real quick. Mekhi Becton is 6'7". He's 364 pounds. And we have a backup offensive lineman who can play every position but center. So if a guard goes down, if a tackle goes down, you know who's going in. I think that's a great thing when you think about what Mekhi Becton adds to this team, adds to the depth. And, that's exciting. Yale Roth is completely right. He says need depth at the O-line. No doubt about it, Yale. And, when you have a guy like Mekhi who's got that pedigree, obviously you don't want to get too enamored with the pedigree, but he does have the pedigree. He does have Jeff Stoutland now who's coaching him up. And you have a guy that can play in at tackle, at guard. That's very exciting on either side of the line. So it'll be interesting to see how that works out. Backup center, Crawley, I guess right now is Matt Hennessy, maybe. I'd have to ask John on who has the shoe in there. They also drafted that Dylan McMahon. I don't think he's going to be the backup center, but I don't really think there's a clear-cut guy that's like, this is a center and he's going to back up. I think it'll be Matt Hennessy. I think Dylan McMahon, the guy they drafted in the 6th round, might have a chance at it. We'll see who ends up being the backup center there. But you're right. We need depth on that O-line, and we'll see how it works. Part of the O-line is like we're spoiled as Eagle fans, right? Like we don't worry about it much just because we have Jeff Stoutland. We have great players there. How he continues to draft there. It's interesting. It's not a big worry in Eagle land, which I view as a very positive thing. But so all good on the offensive front. You didn't hear much. One thing you didn't hear about yesterday was you didn't hear anything about the wide receiver 1 and 2, AJ Brown and Devontae Smith. Hopefully they're making plays. I think they just didn't go to them as much yesterday. I don't think there's anything to worry about them, but nothing better than having training camp football and you hear that AJ Brown makes a massive catch and touchdown. So I'd like to hear some of that. If not, all good. But just a personal thing that I'd like to hear. I'd like to hear a little bit about wide receiver 1 and 2 today. Hopefully we get some headlines from those two today. But overall, good offensive day yesterday. Yesterday was an offensive day. You normally in training camp you do offense 1, defense 1, offense 1, defense 1. And yesterday was an offense day. So good stuff there from the offense. Very exciting about Jalen Hurts, who evidently looked sharp, and by the way, sounded sharp. I told you guys that. Jalen Hurts sounded sharp. Let's talk a little defense, guys. Vic Fangio set to speak in about 53 minutes. So we'll see what he has to say. It'd be interesting to see, his commentary on some of the depth, the linebacker position. You heard what John wanted to talk to him about, his scheme and stuff, but you will talk to him about what he's thinking on certain players, certain positions. I think he'll probably keep things close to the vest. I don't think it's going to be this big groundbreaking press conference or anything, but excited to hear from Vic Fangio on what he does and where he goes. And he's coming up in about, like I said, 52 minutes. Is it? Yeah, 52 minutes. So we'll hear what Vic Fangio has to say. The exciting part of the defense yesterday and what everybody heard from the defense was Jalen Hunt. That was interesting to me. Had a good practice. I mean, I don't want to overreact, but I think the positive part about that is you draft a guy in the third round. Everybody's a little upset about it because they're being told it's a project player. It's a project player. It's a project player. And John said he looked pretty dang good yesterday. This is a guy that was expected to redshirt, and he's out there making some plays. So that's a positive thing to hear from Jalen Hunt. Didn't hear much about the rest of the defensive line. It's kind of tough, admittedly, to hear, when they don't have pads on yet. So, we'll see how it shakes out. A lot of questions about Jordan Davis. Did he slim down? Guys, Jordan Davis's problem really was never the slimming down. I mentioned I met Jordan Davis a couple years ago. He looks like a dominant NFL player. Like, you just see him and you're like, wait, this guy's not overweight. It's more about the game conditioning. It's not so much about that he's overweight or that hasn't taken care of the body. It's really not. It's more about the cardiovascular conditioning, the endurance, the game conditioning. And, we'll see how that works. I don't think we're going to find out fully about that until the games are being played and we see, what Jordan Davis is able to do. But I think I'm comfortable with where he is. I think he's going to have a big year. We'll see when we learn more about him in camp. Go to a question here from my man Madness. What's up, Madness? He says, Andrew, who will be CB2? Yesterday was interesting. Madness. Obviously, you don't have Cooper DeJean out there, right? So, who had the hamstring injury? For anybody that doesn't know, most should know that by now. But John mentioned Isaiah Rodgers got the first reps at cornerback too. But the interesting part about Quinyon Mitchell, which is very exciting, they had him play left corner behind Darius Slay yesterday. They had him play right corner, and they had him play in the slot. So they're moving Quinyon Mitchell all around that defensive backfield, and I think that's a very positive sign. So my gut is starting to tell me that Quinyon's probably going to get that nod at cornerback 2 opposite Darius Slay, but we'll see. Isaiah Rodgers got the reps yesterday. John said Ringo was probably the third best yesterday of the guys, when you're talking about Quinyon, Isaiah, and Keely Ringo. So Keely wasn't the sharpest yesterday compared to the rest of the guys. And, I think Quinyon will win that position, but we'll see. I mean, maybe they like Isaiah Rodgers. The only reason I don't think it'll be Isaiah is because, you have Keely, you drafted him in the 4th round. He's still under contract for a couple years. You have Quinyon Mitchell, who you just spent a 1st-round pick on. You have Cooper DeJean, who you just spent a 2nd-round pick on. And Isaiah Rodgers was picked up on a 1-year deal. Like, is Howie going to prioritize the guys he knows are under contract and have a future here? Or does he go to 26, 27-year-old Isaiah Rodgers? I don't know. I like Isaiah. I'd love to see him get an extension done with him if he can continue to play well. But that's all I'll say. We don't know, what his role is in the future. The other guys we do, and I wonder if the business of the NFL gets in the way of his starting. Al Val's checking in. What's up, buddy? He says, I love Ringo's progression. Me too. You hear the story from John, and, A.J. Brown's high on Keely Ringo. He says he's tough to go against in practice. Physical guy, bigger guy, still very fast. But I love that physical nature of him. So it'll be interesting to see what Keely Ringo is able to do. And hopefully he steps up. I think he will. I'm very high on Keely Ringo. So we'll see what he's able to do. The cornerback position, something we'll be watching all off season long. So we'll see what they end up doing at that position and how it breaks out. Let's go to the linebacker. Interesting to hear about Zach Bond. Nakobe Dean, they talked about him. They didn't want to rule him out, but the first team reps, firstly, were Devin White and Zach Bond. Now, it changed quickly. They rotated Dean in, but it was weird. They had Dean playing Will, and I'm like, I don't know. Don't you want the athletic guy at Will with Devin White compared to, the guy who's more instinctual and not as fast or speedy or big and athletic, and that's Nakobe Dean. Like, shouldn't he be playing the Mike? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe somebody can give me some insight in the chat on what they think of that. But, I thought for sure Nakobe Dean would be a Mike linebacker, and that's it. I didn't expect him to play much Will, and he was playing Will yesterday. So we'll see, how it shakes out at that position. It is interesting, though, that Zach Bond continues to get the reps, and they continue to go to him. They obviously like him as a player, and he showed Vic Fangio enough that Vic wants him on the field. Now, it's early still in training camp. We'll see how it breaks out, as we get further and further along. But people definitely are liking Zach Bond in that room. So it's interesting, that he's been able to contribute to the defense. We'll see what he's able to do when the year comes. I'll Val with another good question. I haven't heard much about Nolan Smith or Sweat. Nothing on Nolan. Nothing on Nolan Smith. We heard that he looks a little bit bigger, a little bit stockier, but I have concerns about him, admittedly. I think he's a good player. He struggles with the fundamentals of pass rush, and when you're going against bigger guys and the tackles in the NFL, it's tough. You gotta be polished. And I don't know, if Nolan's gonna be that guy. Hopefully he can have a big breakthrough and he can get better this year. But you're right, though. We haven't heard much about them. Now, you're not going to hear too much about them when the pads are off. So once the pads get on, I think we'll see what he's able to do a little bit more. That's when you're going up against a big offensive lineman who have pads on too. So we'll be seeing what he's able to do. Once the pads come on, we'll learn probably a little bit more about those guys. Twid the Jigga says, Nolan 245 been putting in that work. Yeah, I'd like to see him get up even a little bit more. And he probably won't. He's not the biggest guy in the world. So we'll see what he's able to do. But he added 8 or 9 pounds, I think, from last year, probably of sheer muscle, which is a good sign for Nolan Smith. Excuse me, needing a sip of coffee there, folks. Long days as training camp is here. I love it, though. I'm talking Eagles with you guys, man. It's like I say it all the time. It's great to talk to Eagles with you guys. It's like when you go to a family party or you're at a social event you don't want to be at, right? And there's one dude at the party who just wants to talk sports with you, and you're like, all right, I'll gravitate to that conversation. So it's great talking with you guys every single day. I appreciate all the support on the channel. No doubt about it. I do have some extra production to do, so I'm going to take a break here in a couple minutes, and then we'll go to 9:15 this morning. We'll talk about that with you. I have some premieres running on the channel. Vic Fangio is set to speak at 9:40, and then practice starting at 10 a.m. So I'll be updating. I'll be following along. I'll get my update from John McMullen, and then I'll go live again later on this morning, probably 11:30, maybe noonish, depending on when the practice coverage stops. So I'll go live again later. So look for that. Look for that video later, and definitely tune in if you're able to, and hit the like button. So we appreciate that. ARS Bench says, how was Jalen Carter looking yesterday? You didn't hear much about the defensive line. I mean, I think Jalen looked pretty good, but like I said, they're not in pads yet, so it's kind of tough to get a feel for where the defensive line is, where the offensive line is. It's tough to tell, when they don't have pads on, and that's all, legislated in the CBA. So we don't know exactly when the pads are going to go on. John was going to look it up for me, so I'll talk to him about that tonight, when the pads will go on. But we'll see, how they look. I don't, at bench, admittedly, I don't have many concerns on Jalen Carter. I think he's going to have a massive year. I think he's going to be the best player on defense this year. I think he's a home run pick for us. I think he's going to be an Eagle Green for as long as his career goes, and he could be a Hall of Fame player. James says pads are today. Is that right, Carver? I don't think so, brother. I don't know. Is that what's coming out on Twitter? Let me go and check on X, make sure I'm not missing anything for you guys for crucial information. Don't want to miss out any on that. Sorry, guys. I'm doing a little bit of extra work on the fly here as I talk to you guys, so I appreciate you all being here. I didn't see anything on pads yet, but we'll see what ends up happening with the pads. Maybe it is today. That would be great if it was today, because then you start to learn more pretty quickly when the pads come on, especially about the lines. So we'll see if pads are today. Daniel Bigelow confirms that. He said pads were today as well. So that's what I heard from 3 different sources. All right, James, I'll take your word for it, brother. You've never lied to me. I have no reason to believe you're playing me. So hopefully that would be great if pads are today. I'd love to see that. Shaquille's in there as well. Pads today. Great stuff. So, we're going to learn more today. I think especially about those big guys, right, who you need pads to learn about them. So we'll see what they're able to do today. I'm going to go to a commercial break here, guys. I got some premieres coming up, some production to do on the back end real quick. Stay tuned. Appreciate you all being here. 250 watching, 130 on YouTube. Appreciate that very much. Drop a like button. I'll be right back. So stay tuned on JAKIB Sports.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.
Is the best vacation one that you find or one you get lost in? One that takes you to new heights or reminds you to go with the flow? To get your feet wet and your wheels spinning? One that lets you find your own rhythm or get carried away? Find the best of yourself. Get lost in the woods. Plan your stay in the Wildwoods today.
Win and save this baseball season from Colony Pools and Power Washing, a local company serving Delaware, Delco, and Chester County since 1970. Are you tired of looking at your green house? Is your roof, siding, deck stained green from algae and mold? Let the experts pressure wash your home and take the pressure off of you. Win with Colony Pools and Power Washing. Call them now at 302-762-2250. That's 302-762-2250.
Go passionately. Go fearlessly. Go confidently.
Go Birds!
Go confidently towards your goals with First Trust, Philly's hometown bank for nearly 90 years, and the official bank of the Philadelphia Eagles. We're focused on getting you over the goal line. So go with conviction. Go with trust.
Go Birds!
And go forward with us by your side. First Trust Bank, the official bank of Philadelphia dreams. Oh, and go Birds.
The greatest fans on earth. It's a bold statement, but would you expect anything less from Philadelphia? 58 years of heartache creates a toughness, a grit, a resolve not found in most. Sure, our prayers were answered, but now that we've had a taste, we're looking for more. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Welcome back, everybody. Appreciate you all being here. A lot of excitement in the air, everybody. A lot of excitement in the air in Philadelphia. Philadelphia Eagles are back on the practice field, man. How exciting is that? Is it just me, or does everybody else feel as excited as I feel? It's like Christmas Day when football comes back, and I know the games aren't back yet, but I have always been a honk in terms of I follow along and I know when training camp is. Like, you know how it is. There's a lot of Eagle fans out there, and I'm not knocking them at all, but they are more like, I'm going to check in when the games start, and they're not in Eagles mode. Like, I wait for training camp to start. I am ready for training camp to start. And it's not just because this is my business. I've been that way my whole life. I was that way when I was, I'm not as much of a college fan as I used to be, but I was the same way with college. I followed it all off season, and then I waited for them to get the practices. And so very exciting for me. This really, really is a fun week for me. A lot of work and a lot of fun. I enjoy doing each and every hour that I do. I appreciate it, and I love it. So very excited to talk about this team. with you guys. A lot of exciting stuff came out of day one. I thought it was an action-packed day in terms of learning. That's why I was so excited, because I know it's just practices, but you really do learn a lot more about the team. And, that's where I think the beat reporters get an unfair shake, is that, we get information from them. And when they're down there and they can tweet out and they can talk to us and they can join our shows and give us the information, it's great to hear what's going on down there, what you're learning from the offense, the defense. And, it's great stuff. So very exciting time right now for the Eagles to be back out on the practice field. Let me just finish up one thing real quick as I do some business on the air. Sorry about that, everybody. Just trying to get this stuff done. Got to get a lot of stuff done here. So I appreciate you guys being here. I appreciate you checking in as always, making your voices heard. I'm going to go to some chat, guys. I'm going to go live for about another 12 minutes. So it's going to be chat central. I'm going to talk to you guys in the chat. I'm going to hear what you guys think. I thought today was pretty good signs. So I want to hear what you guys said, what you guys think. Cali baby, swear to God, I'm the same way. Die hard my whole life. Family raised me this way. Love it, Cali baby. I appreciate that, brother. You and me both. Looking very excited for when they get back out on the practice field. Madness says, let's talk tailgate. Listen, Madness. Here's the problem with the tailgate, right? And I'll explain it to you. I would love nothing more than to tailgate and make a tailgate. I'll bring my pickup truck down. I'll load it up with whatever the heck you guys want. I would love to do that down at the link lot. I would do it for sure. My dilemma is game days for me in the last 3 years have become a working day, an all-day work event. So when I think about my game days the last couple years, I can't. I'm working all day long on my computer, all day long. So I don't know how I would make it work. I would love to do it. Madness is the DJ. He says, I got the music covered. I love it. I would love to be able to do it. Maybe if I can figure out a way to get my pregame shows and my postgame shows handled and do the tailgate, I think we do it. A couple of you mentioned last night you wanted some extra things there, some extra fun party favors, we'll call them there. SMD Eagles checking in. SMD, where you been? We've been waiting for you. We've been looking for you. We've been missing you. Eagles are back. Yes, football is back finally here. Go Birds and hit that like button. That is a very SMD Eagles first comment back. Is it not? SMD Marie, we appreciate you so much for being here. Thanks for checking back in with us. We've been looking for you on Birds 365. So Decoy Gaming says, do the shows from the tailgates. That'd be a good idea, actually. Maybe I can get a little wireless setup and do it there. So we appreciate that. Jerome Ray, what's up, buddy? Mike Fittery's in here. We appreciate Mike Fittery being here. All you guys, I appreciate you always being here. A lot of exciting things that we learned yesterday about this team. We'll see what we're able to take from day two. Coming up, Vic Fangio will speak in around 35 minutes, and then they're back on the practice field at 10 a.m. So they got to get out there early because of these hot days, everybody. It's humid out there. It's hot. You heard about Mekhi Becton puking 10 times yesterday. So they got to get out there early, and that's why the practices are 10 a.m., which is why we pushed Birds 365 to the night. So we appreciate that. So we'll have programming note. Let me do that while I mention it. 6 to 8 p.m. tonight. Birds 365 will be back. So Dan Cilio will be 2 to 6. Birds 365 will be 6 to 8 tonight, and then we'll probably return to our regularly scheduled programming tomorrow. So a lot of excitement in the air for this Eagles team. Saquon Barkley, even by John McMullen's accounts, looked very explosive and fast yesterday. James Carver dropping in a $5 chat. We appreciate that very much, brother. SEC style tailgate that starts Thursday. Then can have sub for game day. Step in. Fixed, brother. Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one, Carver. SEC style tailgate. I don't know if Philly's ready for that, brother. Those tailgates are extremely different. They're both very fun, but the SEC style versus Philly is a different beast. I will say that. They're both great in their own way. Philly's a little bit more rowdy in terms of the people that are there. You know how Philly fans are. My favorite. I'm one of you, so I get it. But the SEC people are not as much like that. They're not as northern, I guess you could say. They call us the Northerners, the Northeasters. So, but you're right. The SEC tailgates are fun. Maybe bring a little bit of that hype to to South Philly. I'd love to do it. I'd love to load up the truck, like I said, drop my tailgate, and have all of JAKIB Sports fans there. That'd be very fun to do. I would love to do that. So a couple minutes left to play here, guys. Any chats that you guys have, anything you're looking for coming into day 2 here, I will take your chats and we will talk about it. So I appreciate all the comments in the chat right now. We appreciate those, and we appreciate, it's exciting that the Eagles are back out there. We mentioned the offense looked good yesterday. Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts, good stuff from them. Defense, I thought it was interesting that Jalix Hunt and Zach Bonds. I've mentioned them many times this morning, but they're the two that stood out to me. Now, if the pads are back on today, which it seems that you guys said that the pads are on, that would be very exciting if the pads are on. But now I think we'll learn more today. We're going to get some even more updates today, and you're going to hear more about the offensive line, the defensive line, and some of those things. So that'll be very exciting if the pads are out today. Eduardo's asking me, what kind of truck do I drive? I got the Ram, brother. I'm a Ram for life. I love my Ram 1500. I got the new body when it came out, and I got about almost 60,000 miles on my truck. I love my truck, man. I absolutely love my truck. I had experience. I like the Fords too. I'm not a Chevy guy, so if you're a Chevy guy, you're going to be upset with me. But I'm a Ram 1500 all the way, baby. My truck drives like a dream. My pops used to drive a Denali, a Sierra Denali 1500, and this is like this souped up truck, and he gets in mine, and he's like, "Yo, why does your truck feel so damn good compared to mine?" And I'm like, "Mopar, baby." I got that Hemi in there, that 5.7 Hemi. So yeah, I'm a Mopar guy for sure. 1500. Dad says, yeah, 1500. I'd like to upgrade to a 2500 eventually, but yeah, he's calling. Oh, come on, Dad, you got to do it to me. He said 1500. That's cute. Yeah, you're right. I need the 2500. I want the power wagon, the big power wagon. So if I get a boat or anything or whatever I need a tow, I got the 2500 on deck, the Cummins, the diesel, baby. So, maybe I'll make that upgrade, and Daz can stop trolling me in the chat. I appreciate that. Madness says, Xander, did you see Hard Knocks? Got to be tough to be Daniel Jones and whack the whole organization wanting to give up on you. Yeah, but look, Madness, you want me to feel bad for him? Because I don't. I mean, I get what you're saying. It must suck to be him. He's making $40 million. He was drafted in the first round, and it's time. So when I saw the clip of Joe Shane's son, who's out, oh, Dad, go for Jaden Daniels, I don't blame him. You have shown absolutely nothing. They have continued to invest in you. They have continued to pay you. They drafted you high. Like, they've already done too much for him, in my opinion. It's time to put up or shut up. Now, they haven't built a great team around him. So from that, I'll give him that leeway. But listen, I don't feel bad for him, dude. I really don't. I hear what you're saying. I do not feel bad for him at all. It's time for him to do something. Now, I love it because he's a Giant, so I don't care that they suck. But if you're asking me to feel bad for Daniel Jones, no, I don't feel bad for Daniel Jones at all. This is a good stuff here. Not to bore you guys with truck talk, but Angelo, that's what you really want right there. An F-150 with the Coyote motor, the 5.0, baby. I'm a Mustang guy, so you don't have to talk too much about the Coyote for me to get me excited. Coyote motor's great motor. So James Carver, my man, he knows I'm a Mustang guy. I love Mustangs. That's what I used to drive, and then I needed the big boy car. Maybe if JAKIB ever makes it big and you guys blow me up and I get rich one day, maybe I'll just buy a Mustang with my truck, and I'll have both of them. But not there yet, everybody. Not there yet. So appreciate you guys being here this morning. I thought we had a fun show, fun hour. I just wanted to be live because I know a lot of you guys check in at 8 a.m. every day, and I wanted to be live. I know Birds 365 has moved to the night, but I wanted to make sure for our loyal people who will come in the morning that we were here. We had some content. We talked about, what went on yesterday. We previewed a little bit of what's happening today, and it's exciting. I'm excited. I'm jacked up, like I mentioned. It's a good time for the Eagles. I think there's a lot of excitement in the air. I think there should be. I really do. I think they made the right decisions coming off of the collapse last year. I think they hired good coordinators. They went on the opposite side. They went with more experienced, and I thought that was a great thing. So a lot of excitement in the air on this team, a lot to be excited about. Appreciate everybody being here this morning. Eduardo, you're right. I'll chop it up. You want to get into Mustang talk? I'll sit here and talk for days, brother, not hours, days. I'll talk for days about Mustangs. I've been a Mustang fan my entire life. Dream cars, obviously the Mustang, and there's a lot of different builds. I can't even pick one Mustang that's the dream Mustang, but James Carver's got what I love. He's got the Shelby GT500. You get your hands on a Shelby, that's what you really want. But, I like the GT350R. Now, that's a track car, but boy, is that car beautiful. So anyway, I don't want to bore you guys with Mustang talk. I know not everybody likes Mustangs. A couple of you might like Mustangs. Dad seems to be a car buy. We used to rebuild and restore a classic Mustang. 69 Mach 1, 351 Cleveland was the car. The 67 Fastback Eleanor. The Eleanor was amazing. That was one of the most beautiful Mustangs ever made. And they're all the way back in the 60s. My dream, guys, if I get loaded, it's not to go and buy a modern supercar. It's to go and buy a perfect condition 67 to 69, somewhere in that range, first edition Mustang, and just soup it up to the nines. I would even maybe do a Coyote swap in there, or even throw the Shelby motor in there, the 5.2. That would be fun too. But that's my version of a dream car, is a perfect condition. That's the problem. I get my stomach turns when I see an old Mustang and it's beat to shit, and I'm like, oh, I wish that. I'm very meticulous about my stuff. I like to keep it perfect, and if I could find one that was perfect condition and low miles and garage kept and all those things, I would definitely do that. And that's exactly what I do, Eduardo. I would build that sucker out and make it my little baby that I kept forever, and maybe give to my future son one day, which would be pretty cool. But anyway, we'll get off the Mustang talk. Appreciate you all being here. We're going to wrap up this show. I got a premiere coming up, so for anybody looking for more Eagles conversation, I got a premiere coming. I think the premiere I have running right now is, so it's my interview yesterday with Dan Cilio, which was tremendous. I thought me and Dan had a good conversation about what went on at day one of camp. So that's premiering at 9:15 a.m. So right now on the JAKIB channel. And then at 10 a.m. premiering is part 2 of Johnny Mac's breakdown from our show last night on Birds 365. So a lot of good content airing on the channel. Like I mentioned, I will go again live later on in the day, probably around noon, somewhere in that time range, after we learn more about what went on at day 2 of practice. So thank you all for being here. Madness says he'll be here at 12. I appreciate that very much, Madness. Let me read a couple of these comments real quickly before I check out of here. Daz says 64.5 to 66. Not a fan of the backs, were too flat. Yeah, I agree. The first ones were nice, Daz, but you're right. The backs were a little different. 67 is when they kind of gave them that facelift and they made them look beautiful. Those are just unbelievable cars. It's amazing that it's 2024 and I look back at those cars and I'm still like, that is beautiful. It's amazing. Like, I don't think people are going to be talking about that about our cars now in 50 years, but maybe they will. We'll see how it progresses. Eduardo wrecked his 67 Camaro. The old Camaros are nice. I'm not a modern Camaro guy, to be honest with you. But the old ones were very beautiful. My friend's dad had a 69 Shelby Cobra, all stock, only 900 made. The Cobras, the Cobras were unbelievable. I'd love to get the New Edge Terminator Cobra. That would be awesome too. But yeah, a little 289 was a workhorse. So I actually have something in my garage right now, Daz. My girlfriend got me it for my birthday. She got me the 289, the motor. She got me like a mini one that you can build and you put all the parts together, and it's really cool. I haven't done it yet, but I've just been busy, but I'm going to get to that. It's out in my garage. So I'd love to build that, but that's going to be exciting to learn all about that motor and the little things that go into it. I'm definitely a honk on that stuff. So I'm definitely going to do that. But you're right. That 289 was a workhorse. It was an absolute beast, especially when you think about, when it came out. Dill Locke says, I'm a Mopar man. I'm a Mopar man when it comes to trucks, but I've never owned a Charger or a Challenger. I'd love to. But I'm more of I would like to find the perfect condition, Hellcat Red Eye probably, and keep it in the garage, keep that thing beautiful. That's one I'd like. The final edition was insane. 1,000 horsepower. That thing was nuts, but appreciate it, man. Appreciate you being here, Dale. Appreciate everybody being here. Sorry if I bored you guys talking about cars for the last 10 minutes. I had to do it because it seems like everybody likes them. So I appreciate that. SMD, love hearing from you, SMD. I'm happy you're back. She says, I love to travel during the summer, a lot of outdoor stuff, canoeing, hiking, glamping. I just suck at fishing, apparently. SMD, it's great to have you back. It's great to have you back. We've been missing you. Your comments are so appreciated. It's great to have you back and hear from you. I'm happy you're having a great summer. You deserve a great summer. Eagles season will be here before we know it. Good to know that you're still out there and still a member. Eduardo says she's a keeper. No doubt about it, brother. I only pick keepers. Come on, man. So good stuff there. Appreciate everybody being here. We're going to get out of here. Go check out that premiere that's running on the channel right now. Thanks you all for being here. Make sure you guys hit that like button on your way out. Your guys' support means so much to me. More than you guys will ever know. I appreciate it so much. The likes, the comments, the super chats, the memberships, everything. It's very appreciated. Very, very appreciated by me. So I can't thank you guys enough for being here. And we'll catch you later on this morning at around noon after this practice wraps up. See you guys next time on JAKIB Sports.
You've been listening to Birds 365, the destination for the passionate Eagles football fan who bleeds green. If it's Eagles football, we're talking about it. Debate inside the locker room and guests that are some of the greatest football minds from around the region. We hope you enjoyed the show. We know we had a blast. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll be back soon. But in the meantime, hook up with us on social media at JAKIB Sports. See you next time on Birds 365.